The world will be commemorating Water Day at Expo 2020 Dubai, where the conservation of this resource will be a key theme. Today, 1 in 4 people worldwide lack safe drinking water, half lack safe sanitation, and 2.3 billion go without basic hand-washing facilities at home. Newzroom Afrika's Ziyanda Ngcobo reports live for us from Expo 2020 Dubai this morning. And Ziyanda, these challenges insofar as access to water and sanitation is concerned is certainly something that we can relate to here in South Africa as we mark Human Rights Day.
Absolutely, Michelle. I mean, you've gone exactly where I was trying to go, that as tomorrow is going to be World Water Day, in South Africa, there's still millions of citizens who lack basic access to water. So these issues are not just limited to South Africa, but it's a problem that is faced by many countries across the world. And I guess that's also the beauty and the essence of Expo 2020 Dubai, where you come together, you share the challenges that you have, and you also share possible solutions then to conserve and also to give access to this critical resource, which is important for unlocking development, but also for the future. And someone who looks closely at people and the planet and is managing the program at Expo 2020 for that particular issue is Shabano Tamizi. Thanks for your time. Welcome to Newzroom Afrika.
Thank you.
You're very passionate about water and people being able to gain access to it. Where do we fare in the world when it comes to access to water, but also ensuring that we preserve this critical resource?
Thank you. So, as you mentioned, we have water security issues across the world. At this point in time, we have 2 billion people plus who still do not have access to clean drinking water, and it's about 3.6 billion people plus who do not have access to clean sanitation. So, of course, in terms of where we stand on SDG 6, we still have a long way to go. But the beauty is, and we see this every day around the Expo site, that countries, innovators, corporates, private sector, everyone's really trying to come up with great solutions to how to close that gap by 2030 and how to really make sure, such as our celebrations for World Water Day, how we can celebrate the fact that water is life, how we can make sure that we raise public awareness around conservation and preservation of this dire resource, and really ensure that everyone has clean, equitable and affordable access to this resource that really our entire lives run around, irrespective of where you're from and what you do.
And so the challenges are different, aren't they, Shabano? So in terms of each country. So some countries may be more advanced than others, and the ability to ensure that citizens access water would be different. So how are you as Expo 2021 able to try and hold governments accountable to ensure that they provide this resource as a part of their human rights, but also straddling the balance of really understanding the challenges that they may be facing when it comes to providing this resource?
So absolutely, the challenges are varied, not only across the world and across regions, but also in countries themselves, right?
Yes.
You can look at a rural area versus an urban area, or look at 2 cities in different parts of a country and see the water issues being very different. And it's not always scarcity, it's also access to that water, it's the quality of that water, it's how close the resource is to you. We're celebrating in tomorrow's World Water Day groundwater, and that is again a different kind of challenge which different countries and parts of the world are endowed in separately. So at Expo, what we really try to do is bring together voices not only from government and private sector, but youth voices, civil society voices, change makers in different aspects of life to really question, discuss and call on governments, on private sector, on one another as a community to do better and to step up. And that's how we kind of hold that accountability piece. Is we recognize that it's everyone's role to play and everyone has a part to play in achieving the SDGs, in achieving water security for all, and then really a call to the community that if we don't all step up and do better and do it quickly, because this is an urgent issue, which is, the clock is ticking on 2030. That's really how, as a program and as a platform where the entire world comes together, we're trying to hold countries, governments and ourselves accountable.
So in terms of the different pavilions that are here at Expo 2020 Dubai, what are some of, the aspects that are looking at water then? Because you have the sustainability, mobility, and the opportunity pavilions, which talk to different themes, but ultimately they're all intertwined and all feed into each other one way or another.
Absolutely. Water is a really multifaceted topic, and that comes across in various pavilions. So you spoke about our 3 flagship pavilions. Sustainability looks at life underwater and looks at conserving our oceans and water and protecting it and reducing pollution. Opportunity looks at how access to clean drinking water unlocks many other aspects of your life. Better health, better nutrition. We also know there's a lot of water that goes into growing food, and there's a strong connection there. We've also got a number of countries on site who are talking about one aspect of water or the other across the whole piece. For example, the Netherlands pavilion looks at the water, food, energy nexus, and it looks at how the 3 aspects come together and are interconnected. We've got several other pavilions that look at water conservation. We have New Zealand that shows us the journey of preserving the right of the river as an entity and why that's really important, and that goes back to your point on conserving the resource. So we've got several pavilions across the site that look at clean drinking water. We've got our Expo Life pavilion that brings together global innovators from across the world that have really come up with really interesting water recycling solutions, wash solutions, which is very big right now, obviously in a COVID world, the nexus between hygiene, awareness, and clean water. So you've got these different aspects, and really it touches upon everything that's to do with water, and water being very central to our lives.
Interesting that you've mentioned the COVID-19 pandemic, because in countries such as South Africa, where there is still a fundamental lack of access to water, it became a very pivotal and critical topic then about how we're going to provide water in those rural areas where you're told to wash your hands, every 20 minutes for at least 20 seconds. So how are you requiring people to do that when they don't even have access to clean drinking water in their own yards? What are some of the innovative technological developments that are being discussed here at Expo that countries that are still struggling with just access, let alone the quality of the water, just access to the water, that they could actually take back home, implement to sort of bridge the gap until then they're able to onboard the rest?
We see a lot of that, and we speak to several countries about that very often. I don't think necessarily it's the new technology and the fancy technology that always has the answer either. We've seen a lot of examples where we've got community projects who've designed a handheld pedal where you can literally put your foot on it, it runs your water for 20 seconds, and allows you to wash your hands, and then there's a signal. So it ensures that you don't go over and above the amount that you need to actually, for example, wash your hands for the safety level for COVID, for instance. Then we've got other aspects where we've got projects where there's a sensor and it'll beep if you go over a certain quantity of water when you're running your tap. One other thing that we've seen, and this is less technology but more human behavior, is we've been running something called the FTG challenge across site, where people come and write their to-do list. And one thing that we've seen over and over again is use less water and put your tap off. So something as simple and basic as raising awareness and really internalizing this in our daily life, where you brush your teeth, you don't let your water running, you don't leave your water running before you jump into the shower. When you're washing dishes, you're conserving water. So I think the technology is a very important aspect of it, but the other thing we've really seen at the Expo and countries bring to the forefront is how these basic small solutions that aren't necessarily high-level technology and those that are very basic human behavior can make a very big difference.
All right, that's Shabano Tumizi. She manages the People and Planet program here at Expo 2020 Dubai. I mean, Michelle, you'll know that, for an example, Cape Town was at a stage where it reached day zero when it came to water. So the conservation of water is still critical, and I'm hoping that, the officials from South Africa that are here have been watching closely. I mean, that beeping, technology that Shabano was speaking about, I think that's also something that we need, but equally important, just ensuring that there's actually an access to basic quality water, still an issue that we are grappling with as we celebrate Human Rights Day back at home, but as we also commemorate World Water Day tomorrow. Michelle?
Yeah, thanks very much indeed. Some great coverage there from Expo 2020 Dubai. Ziyanda, Ngcobo, thanks very much indeed for that interview.